Now, Judas, sorry, little spoiler alert here, later on, will sell Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, which is way less than what was going on out there. But how does Jesus respond to Judas's response? Let's look at verse 7. Try is in there on verse 7. "Leave her alone," Jesus replied. "It was intended that she should save this perfume for the day of my burial. You will always have the poor among you, but you will not always have me." Now Jesus here, he's not trying to get down on the poor, but he's more focused about the time that he has left. He knows he only has 1 week left to live. And like I asked you guys earlier, what would you be wanting to do? Who would you wanting to spend time with? What things would you want to do in your life if you knew you only had 1 week to live? So I believe that he was very happy with what Mary had done, because she was taking advantage of the time that she still had left with her Savior. So what now can we take for how these two people reacted to Jesus with their last weeks with him? Well, you see Lazarus, sorry, not Lazarus, miswrote my notes. Judas, he is more concerned with the world and with money. And like I said earlier, he will sell Jesus off for only 30 pieces of silver. And he really wasn't concerned about the poor. It stated that right there. He was more used to helping himself and the money back. So we could probably infer that he probably would have taken money from that if the money got put into it if they had sold it. So really, he just wanted the money. That's what it comes down to from Judas' point. But Mary, what did she do? She got down to her Savior's feet and she blessed him. She took advantage of the last time, the last interaction that she was going to be able to have with him. Now, are you guys looking in your life and trying to give Jesus all that you can give to him? They don't really know that this will be Jesus' last week with them. Only Jesus really knows that. He's been telling them that, but honestly, the disciples, they really don't get it a lot of the time. And we'll talk about that more later on. But I don't think it's up till chapter 16 or 17 that they're finally like, oh, we get it now. So the disciples are having a hard time figuring it out. But Mary, even though she doesn't know this is her last week with Jesus, she's doing her best to spend the most time with him she can. She wants to honor him in this way of putting this perfume on his feet. Now, for me, I know personally that I don't always give Jesus all that I have. And sometimes I just want to take all the money that I've earned and I want to keep it for myself. But last summer, God really put it on my heart to tithe. And I'm not trying to say that this message is about tithing in any kind of way. I'm just trying to relate it to my life. And so I started being obedient to that. And God has blessed me. He's blessed me to the point where I don't even worry about the money that I have coming in. I know that it'll be there. And I know if I first give to God, I know that He'll provide. So what I want us to take from this is that it's more about doing what is right before the Lord. For me, at that time in my life, it was right to be tithing. And like Mary did, she wasn't worrying about, this might be the last night that I can spend with Jesus, but she was just more concerned about, I want to bless Jesus right now. So to wrap it all up, well, let's look at the last two verses there. Everybody look at verses 9 through 11. Meanwhile, a large crowd of Jews found out that Jesus was there and came, not only because of him, but also to see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. So the chief priests made plans to kill Lazarus as well. For on account of him, many of the Jews were going over to Jesus, putting their faith in him. So, the priests now not only want to kill Jesus, but now they also want to kill Lazarus. And it's because they feel One, concerned with the crowds. Two, they feel politically threatened from all this because they don't want Rome to step in and take over again. Theologically, they feel threatened because the Sadducees, there were the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and they both believed in some things. The Sadducees did not believe in the resurrection. The Pharisees believed in angels and the resurrection. So we'll talk about more of that later, and it'll play a part there. So, all right, I know I've talked a lot, but what could we wrap this all around to? I think that it can come down to looking at how Judas responded to the situation, looking how Mary responded to the situation last week that they have with Jesus. To do well with what Jesus has given you, and you will be blessed. I think if we can take one sentence and wrap it all up, I think that's going to be it. So let's pray, and we'll get started with some more fun. Lord, I thank you so much for tonight. Lord, your word, Lord, I pray that as we look further into the Gospel of John, you will open our hearts and our minds to new teachings, Lord, to a new understanding of what you want us to be doing with our lives. Lord, we love you, and we thank you. Let us all in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. So, hang tight. Nobody move. Okay.